Everybody wants success. But let me tell you something. Success doesn't start on the stage. It doesn't start when the cameras are on. It doesn't start when people are cheering your name. Success starts in the dark, when nobody knows your name, when nobody is clapping for you, when nobody is even checking to see if you're doing the work. That's where discipline is born. And listen to me closely. Discipline doesn't come from winning the prize. Discipline comes from respecting the process. You don't get stronger by flexing on Instagram. You get stronger by lifting the weights day after day, even when the gym is empty. Discipline is that alarm clock going off at 4 a.m. and you dragging yourself out of bed when everything in your body is telling you to sleep. Discipline is putting your phone down and studying when your friends are out partying. Discipline is skipping the shortcuts because you know shortcuts only cut off your future. It's not glamorous. It's not sexy. Nobody's posting clips of themselves doing the boring, painful, repetitive work. But that's the point. The process doesn't give you instant rewards. It gives you the habits that create rewards later. See, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Everybody wants to say they're hungry until it's time to fast, to sacrifice, to grind. You want to be disciplined? Then you've got to understand discipline isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. It's choosing over and over again to do what you said you were going to do long after the feeling you have when you said it is gone. The feeling fades. The hype fades. The motivation fades. But discipline, that's the anchor. That's the thing that keeps you moving when your emotions are screaming at you to quit. Let me be real with you. Discipline is boring sometimes. It's waking up and running the same route you ran yesterday. It's lifting the same weights you lifted last week. It's rehearsing the same speech, the same notes, the same lines over and over until you get it perfect. And that boredom, that repetition, that grind is the price you pay to be great. Too many of you run from boredom. You want excitement, you want hype, you want fireworks. But greatness doesn't come wrapped in fireworks. Greatness is wrapped in monotony. It's wrapped in consistency. It's wrapped in discipline. And here's the truth. You can't buy discipline. You can't download it. You can't borrow it from your friend. Discipline has to be built brick by brick, decision by decision. You build discipline by choosing the hard thing, not the easy thing. You build it by doing what's right, not what's comfortable. You build it by showing up when you don't feel like it. Every time you make the tough choice, you're laying under brick. And one day, those bricks turn into a fortress that nothing can break, not failure, not doubt, not fear. Listen to me, the dream you have, it's not about talent. Talent is good, but talent without discipline is wasted. The world is full of talented people who never made it because they couldn't master themselves. Discipline is self-mastery. Discipline is telling your mind, we're going to do this, and then making your body follow through. Discipline is the voice inside of you that says, I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're sore. I don't care if you don't feel like it. You made a commitment, now honor it. You want to know why discipline is so powerful? Because discipline builds confidence. When you know you've put in the work day after day, you walk differently, you talk differently, you step into the room with a different energy because you know you earned it. The undisciplined are always second-guessing themselves because deep down they know they've been cutting corner. But the discipline don't have to fake confidence. It's real, it's earned, it's in their DNA. And here's the secret, discipline frees you. Most people think discipline is about restriction, about limits. No, discipline is the key that unlocks freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you get freedom to chase your dream. When you're disciplined with your money, you get freedom from debt. When you're disciplined with your health, you get freedom from sickness. Discipline looks like pain in the moment, but it's freedom in the future. So I need you to stop chasing feelings and start chasing discipline. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is a spark, but discipline's the fire. Motivation might get started, but discipline keeps you going. Discipline is what makes sure you cross the finish line long after motivation has disappeared. Don't you get it? The process is the classroom where discipline is taught. The early mornings, the long nights, the sweat, the setbacks, the repetition. That's the training ground. That's where you build the muscle of self-control. That's where you learn to silence the excuses. Everybody loves to talk about success, Everybody loves to dream about the finish line, about the trophy, about the applause. But let me tell you the truth. Before you ever touch that trophy, before you ever get the applause, life is going to put you through a test. And that test is called the process. The process is not here to give you what you want right away. The process is here to check your character, to see if you're really who you say you are. Anybody can talk a good game. Anybody can scream, I'm grinding, I'm hustling. I want it as bad as I want to breathe. The process doesn't care about words. The process is going to look at your actions, your consistency, your resilience. The process is the mirror that shows you if you're real or fake. The process will strip away the mask. It will reveal whether your hunger is authentic or just for show. You see, when everything is easy, you can pretend to be strong. You can pretend to be focused. You can pretend to be disciplined. But when life starts throwing storms at you, when you face setbacks, when you get rejected, when you fail, that's when your true character shows up. That's when the world sees the real you. Do you keep pushing or do you quit? Do you rise or do you run? That's the test. You have to understand success is heavy. The dream is heavy. The life you're asking for is not light. And if your character is weak, the weight will crush you. That's why the process is necessary. The process builds the strength of your character before it gives you the blessing. Because what good is success if you don't have the integrity to keep it? What good is money if you don't have the discipline to manage it? What good is influence if your character is shallow and you crumble under pressure? The process tests you because the process knows the destination requires a stronger version of you. I need you to catch this. Failure is not the enemy. Struggle is not the enemy. Resist is not the enemy. They are all part of the test. And the test is not designed to break you. It's designed to shape you. Just like fire tests gold, the process tests your character. You can't get pure gold without putting through the fire. And you can't get a pure champion without putting them through trials. The fire is necessary. The pain is necessary. The late nights, the rejections, the losses, the setbacks, they're all part of the test. The process will ask you questions every single day. How bad do you want it? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to suffer? Are you willing to go again after you've been knocked down? Can you better believe the process won't take your first dance? You can say yes to today, and tomorrow the process will ask you again. And the day after that, you again. And every time you say yes with your actions, every time you push back when life hits you, every time you refuse to quit, you pass another level of the test. But here's the truth. Some of you are failing the test because you're looking for an easier way. You're looking for shortcuts. You're looking for hacks. You want the reward without the character. Let me be clear. If the process gives you success before your character is tested, that success will destroy you. That's why so many people lose it all. They wanted the spotlight, but didn't have the character to handle the heat. They wanted the position, but didn't have the integrity to hold it. They skipped the test, and the way to success exposed them. The process is asking you, are you humble enough to keep grinding when nobody sees you? Are you honest enough to admit when you messed up and learn from it? Are you disciplined enough to keep working when you don't feel like it? Are you strong enough to stay committed when your emotions change? This is character. And character is not built when everything is easy. Character is built when everything is falling apart and you refuse to let go. Listen to me. You don't need to be afraid of the test. You need to embrace it. Because the test is proof that greatness is on the other side. Every challenge, every setback, every moment that feels unbearable. That's the process chiseling away at your weaknesses and building your strength. It's turning you into somebody who deserves to win. It's making sure that when you finally get the dream, you don't just have it for a moment. You can sustain it. You can multiply it. You can handle it. And let's be real. The process hurts. It will break your pride. It will expose your excuses. It will push you to the edge of your limits. But that's the point. Because only when you're pushed to the edge do you discover what you're really made of. The process doesn't just test your character. It reveals it. It grows it. It solidifies it. You walk into the process one version of yourself. And if you survive the test, you walk out transformed. Everybody says they want it. Everybody talks about success. Everybody talks about grinding. But the process doesn't listen to your mouth. The process listens to your action. The process doesn't care about your Instagram post. It doesn't care about your hashtag. It doesn't care about your motivational quotes. The process is going to test you, and when it does, it's going to separate the pretenders from the contenders. You can fool people with words, you can fool people with images, but you can't fool the process. The process exposes people. It shows who's committed and who's casual. It shows who's hungry and who's just curious. You can start with a crowd, you can start with a crew, but if you keep walking through the process, the crowd will shrink. Because most people don't love the grind. They just love the idea of success. They love the applause, the attention, the shine, but they don't love the sweat, the rejection, the sacrifice, and that's why the process is so valuable. It filters. It weeds out the people who only came for the glory and leaves behind the ones who are willing to bleed for it. The process is like a storm. Everybody says they want to be out at sea, they want to sail, they want to venture. But when the storm hits, the ones who were just pretending run back to the shore. The ones who were never serious quit when it gets uncomfortable. But the ones who are real, the ones who have made up their mind, they dig deeper, they hold the line, they refuse to turn back. The storm doesn't make them quit, it makes them stronger. That's how the process works. You gotta understand, it's easy to start. Starting is cheap. Anybody can sign up. Anybody can say I'm in. Anybody can get excited for a week or two. But the process isn't about starting, it's about staying. It's about showing up long after the excitement is gone. It's about being consistent when nobody is clapping, when nobody is watching, when nobody is praising you. Nobody is praising you. And right there, that's where you separate the real from the fake. Because the fake only show up when it feels good. The real show up no matter what. You think it's a coincidence that only a small percentage of people actually succeed? No, it's not a coincidence, it's the process. The process is designed to eliminate the weak, the inconsistent, the ones who aren't built for the long haul. It doesn't matter how talented you are if you can't endure. It doesn't matter how gifted you are. It doesn't matter how gifted you are if you quit when it hurts. Talent can get you started, but only commitment will keep you in the game. And the process is the referee that calls out who's really committed and who's not. The truth is, the process isn't pretty. It's not glamorous. It's not always inspiring. They are nice when you'll be exhausted. There are days when you'll question yourself. There are seasons when it feels like nothing is working. And that's exactly where the fake tap out. They don't want that part. They wanted the highlight reel without the behind the scenes. They wanted the end result without the endurance. But the real ones, oh, they embrace it. They embrace the tears, the setbacks, the grind, because they know the process is the price of admission for greatness. The process is always asking, are you in it for real or are you just here for a moment? And it will not stop asking until you prove it with consistency, with sacrifice, with effort. That's why you can't look around and compare yourself to others, because some of the people who started with you aren't going to finish with you. They're going to quit halfway. They're going to say it's too hard. They're going to disappear. And that's okay. The process is separating. The process is filtering. The process is doing its job. Don't get discouraged when people leave. Don't get frustrated when the crowd thins out. Don't get bitter when others stop showing up. That's the process at work. You keep going. You keep grinding. You keep grinding. You keep proving with your actions that you're not a pretender. Because when the smoke clears, when the dust settles, only the real will still be standing. And that's when the process rewards you. That's when the process says, now you've earned it. Now you're ready. Now you've proven you can handle the weight of success. The fake will always be exposed because they're in love with the outcome, not the grind. They want the crown, but they don't want the crowd, but they don't want the cross. They want the destination, but they don't want the journey. The process makes sure they don't last. The real, they might get knocked down, but they get back up. They might get tired, but they don't quit. They might cry, but they keep moving. That's the difference. That's what separates them. So when you're in the process and it feels lonely, when people around you up and out, when the noise quiets down and you feel like it's just you, don't panic. That's not a sign you're losing. That's a sign you're losing. That's a process cutting away the fake and sharpening the real. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to get better. Everybody wants to level up. Let me tell you something. Growth doesn't come from wishing. Growth doesn't come from talking about it. Growth doesn't come from skipping steps. Growth only comes from the process. The process is where you are stretched. The process where you are challenged, the process where you are forced to become more than you were yesterday. And that's why it's non-negotiable. You can't bypass the process because the process growth itself. When you step into the process, you step into a classroom. And this classroom doesn't have a teacher in a suit or a desk in neat rows. This classroom is life. The lessons are hidden in the setbacks. The tests are disguised as failure. And the assignments come in the form of sacrifice and discipline. And every single day you commit to the process, you're learning, you're evolving, you're growing. Even when you don't see it, even when you don't feel it. The process is doing its work on you. You've got to understand growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. Growth happens when you are stretched, when you're uncomfortable, when you're forced to dig deeper than you thought possible. That's what the process does. It puts pressure on you. It demands more from you than you feel like giving. It exposes your weaknesses, not to embarrass you, but to strengthen you. It breaks you down so it can build you back stronger. And that's why so many people avoid the process. Because growth is painful. Growth requires change, and change is uncomfortable. But let me ask you this. Do you want comfort or do you want transformation? Because you can't have both. If you choose comfort, you stay the same. If you choose the process, you grow. The version of you that steps into the process will not be the same version that steps out. You'll walk out wiser, tougher, sharper, more resilient. That's the guarantee of growth. The process doesn't just grow your skills. It grows your character. It grows your patience. It grows your focus. It grows your resilience. You might think you're grinding for money, for success, for a dream, but what the process is really giving you is growth. Because once you grow, the money follows. Once you grow, the success follows. Once you grow, the dream becomes possible. The process isn't just about achieving something. It's about becoming someone. Think about a seed. A seed can't stay a seed forever. It has to be buried. It has to be in the dirt. It has to be pressed down. It has to endure darkness before it breaks open and starts to grow. That's the process. And some of you are complaining because you feel buried, because you feel like life has put weight on you, because you feel like nobody can see your progress. But don't confuse being buried with being planted. Being buried is the end. Being planted is the beginning of growth. And the process is planting you, preparing you to break through. When you embrace the process, you embrace growth. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes feedback. Every obstacle becomes training. Nothing is wasted. The process recycles pain into progress. It recycles struggle into strength. It recycles doubt into determination. That's the beauty of it. You can't lose when you're committed to the process because even your losses become lessons that make you better. And hear me on this, growth is not instant. The process takes time. That's why you can't rush it. That's why you can't quit when it takes longer than you thought. Because the growth that lasts, the growth that's real, it doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, it's steady, it's consistent. It's built day after day, decision after decision, habit after habit. The process is patient, and it demands patience from you. But when you look back, you'll realize every second was worth it. Stop being afraid of the work. Stop being afraid of the grind. Stop being afraid of the process. The very thing you're avoiding is the thing that guarantees your growth. The very thing you're running from is the thing that's trying to make you stronger. You can pray for growth. You can hope for growth. You can talk about growth. But if you don't embrace the process, you will never experience it. Because growth is not something you get, it's something you go through. And here's the powerful part. Once you grow, nobody can take it from you. The process might strip away your comfort. It might strip away your excuses. It might strip away the old version of you, but what it gives back is permanent. Once you've grown stronger, you can't be weak the same way again. Once you've grown wiser, you can't go back to ignorance. No. Once you've grown disciplined, you can't unlearn that. The process doesn't just give you growth for the moment. It gives you growth for life. So stop fighting it. Stop wishing it was easier. Stop hoping the process will skip